Hi everybody, it's me Bonbon, and it's been quite a while since we last spoke. As of recording this, I think it's actually been about 2 months. So I did make a little promise to myself to try and upload more frequently, but a lot has actually happened in my life since saying that 2 months ago. So if you can tell, I'm actually in a new filming location, and that's because I moved recently. So I'm not in my old room anymore, I'm actually in an apartment now. So yeah, I haven't set up anything cute or fancy yet. I'm still figuring out what I want to do, so my background is a little bit boring compared to my other videos. But so that happens, and that kind of put me off wanting to do YouTube. The first thing I want to say is I have a Patreon now. I've had it for a couple of months, I think, since the last video, and it's pretty cool. I quite like it. I like using it. So yeah, I just wanted to give a little shout out to my Patreons at the moment. If you are interested in becoming a Patreon, please know that I would be eternally appreciative of that. And also the next video coming out is one that was made possible by Patreon donations. So we're actually going to be doing a wish haul, expectation versus reality kind of fun thing, and all the Patreon money from the past 2 to 3 months is going towards that, including some of my own personal money. So if you would like to fund more extravagant videos in the future, know that that's where all the Patreon money goes to. So link and all that will be in the description, but let me just give a little shout out right now. So a big lovely shout out to 3 of our lovely Patreons. We only have 3 at the moment. I need to figure out something special to do, like maybe make a sign or something with like all your names on it, like a big poster or something. Oh, that'd be cool. I actually have a corkboard over there. I could like make a big poster and put your names on it as people. Oh, that'd be nice. I might do that. Anyway, big shout out to all 3 of our Patreons. So Timote, thank you very much for your pledge. Sonic 10, thank you very much for your pledge, and thank you also for reaching out so often on Twitter and just being a genuinely good friend. And Medic 2019, thank you as well. You guys are gonna make the video I'm doing right now actually possible, so thank you so much for your support, and thank you for putting so much value into my content, because that means the world and it gives me so much motivation. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. Let's talk about today's actual video and what we're going to be talking about today. I'd like to preface this by saying that everything I'm about to say about this subject is a neutral opinion. I have formed my own personal opinions on what I'm about to talk about. However, that's not the point of this video. It's not to talk about my opinions, it's to talk about objectively what is this community and what are the differences between age streaming and age regression. It's not to talk about what I think or my experiences personally. That's a completely different video. I didn't want anybody to think I was coming into this wanting to attack or belittle the age streaming community and say that it's not valid or whatever. That's not the point of this video at all. We're just going to be discussing the facts. Everything that I say going forward is based on screenshots or text posts from the age streaming Tumblr. And according to that Tumblr, from what I could find through my research, that person is actually the one that coined the term age streaming, and they seem to be the community hub for it. So I'm guessing that Tumblr is the fountain of all knowledge, I suppose. And it's where I relied on most of my information, because it does seem that they are the one that came up with the idea, but brought it into the public domain. So everything I say is founded on information found on that Tumblr. I'll link it down in the description. You can go have a look for yourself, form your own opinions. Also, you'll have to excuse me, I do have a cold. That's one of the disadvantages of living in Scotland. I have a cold. Hey, let's get started. So, age regression versus age streaming. I say versus very loosely, it's not comparative, it's just the differences. So, if you're unfamiliar with what age regression is, oh boy, I have a lot of videos on that topic that you can go and watch that go more in depth. But right now I'll give you a brief, little tiny explanation as to what age regression is, so that going forward you can understand this video as a standalone topic without having to watch all my other videos. Yeah, age regression. So at its core, I'm trying to condense it down as much as I possibly can. Age regression is when a person assumes the mindset of somebody younger in order to cope with past trauma, mental illness, stress, or just for fun. It can be just for fun as well. It's usually a coping mechanism, but it can be just for fun. This mindset that people assume the mindset of doesn't have to be a specific age. It can just be a general feeling of childishness. It's not a kink, it's non-sexual, it's nothing to do with age play or DDLG or any of those kink categories. It's completely separate. It's way over there. I like to see it as a form of, I like to group it more under the mental health relaxation category, so in a similar vein to things like self-taught CBT or meditation, or even people who like ASMR. So you know, that kind of vein of non-sexual but more mental healthy, I guess, even though it can be for fun. Just a relaxation thing, right? That's as bare bones as I can go. If you want to learn more about age regression, I highly recommend watching my Meanings and Misconceptions video, which was actually the first video I ever made on this channel. So please go watch that if you want to learn more. If you want to learn more about specific ages of age regressors, I made a video on that 2 months ago. So I'm going to go forward with this assuming that we're all familiar with the core concepts of age regression and what age regression is. I really hope what I'm about to say does not cause drama in the age regression or age streaming community, because I really don't want it to. I tried so hard to make like an informative, objective video on this subject without any of my subjective opinions and just what I could find, and I still feel like people are going to watch it and be like, she's being mean, and then come and attack me. Please don't do that. Please don't. Similarly, don't go after age streamers. They're completely valid. This video isn't trying to disprove that or anything. So this is just bare bones what it is and comparing it. It's not meant to start drama. Please. So, age streaming. From what I could find, age streaming seems to have originated on Tumblr, specifically a Tumblr account called agestreaming.tumblr.com. This person also claims to have coined the term, and with that they have given us a handy dandy short description of what the term age streaming means, which can be found in their subheading on their blog. So I'll just read that out for you verbatim, word for word right now. Just so that we know exactly how the person themselves is describing age streaming, so that going forth we have no confusion and we have something solid to refer back to. So, this person says, age streaming is a practice / headspace / experience that's highly diverse. The headspace is usually controlled by the dreamer and usually voluntary, but not always. Surrounding childhood and feelings / being small, which can be done for many different reasons. It is a label that can also be used to describe one's headspace when they feel as though it does not align with the traditional age regression. Age 3, that's age dreaming, is non-kink and non-sexual. So just reading that, you'll see that there are a lot of actually similarities between age dreaming and age regression. Especially if you've watched my other videos, you'll see a lot of parallels between the word choices. So the idea of voluntary and involuntary regression, the idea of being in a headspace rather than of just feeling small rather than a specific age. Yeah, you'll just see a lot of similarities. So upon reading this, I was a little bit confused. I didn't really understand how you would not align with the traditional age regression term, but align with age dreaming when, to me, I saw a lot of very close parallels. So I started to think maybe this person's their interpretation of what age regression is a little bit narrower than what our interpretation is. So we are interpreting age regression as quite a general, broad feeling of smallness or comfort. Maybe this person sees it as something more specific, that they feel like they need a separate label to break out of that. So I went looking and I actually did find a statement from the owner of this blog on that particular topic, on what the differences are. So let's see what they have to say. So verbatim again, they say, in a lot of cases, age dreaming is just a headspace that doesn't fit within those lines of what age regression is. So for someone who doesn't actually regress, but enjoys the aesthetics of being small and finds comfort in dressing in small clothing, colouring, etc., they're an age dreamer. For someone who does regress, but their headspace doesn't fit into the lines of regression, let's say they regress 24/7, so they're constantly a child and it's their lifestyle, then they can identify as an age dreamer rather than a regressor, because their headspace doesn't feel like regression to them. So that kind of breaks it down a bit more. So we kind of get the idea that age dreaming is perhaps more a lifestyle and style aesthetic choice. So it wouldn't feel like regression to somebody who's an age dreamer, because that is who they are. They're not regressing, they're not changing, they're just always in that state. I slightly am a little bit confused by that, because the term regression and age regression refers to the fact that you're rescinding yourself to an age that you have already gone past. So even if you are that age 24/7, you're still regressing because you're not actually a child. You're regressing to that mindset just for a prolonged period. So I do find it a little bit weird that they find a need to draw a distinction between that, because the regression and age regression refers to the actual regression of age, not the regression of going in and then coming back out. So I did find that a little bit weird. So I kind of went digging for more answers, because that was a little bit vague. And I wanted to see if they expanded on this idea that age dreaming was more to do with the aesthetics and just enjoying it from a aesthetics point of view. So I also found, everything is based on stuff that I found. If I don't read it verbatim, it's still there. But I'm going to try and read most things verbatim. So they actually received an ask. And that ask says, "Hi, I think the link to your FAQ is broken, so sorry if you've answered this before. Is age dreaming only for babycore, or are there other ages included as well?" So the person replied with, "Nope, it's not just babycore at all. Age dreamers can be any range or a range of any range. Can be any age or a range of ages." So if you're not familiar with what babycore is and kidcore, they're kind of aesthetics in the same way that, I don't know, I guess like, I don't want to say goth or one of the big ones, but they're people that their style choice is, or their lifestyle choice is focused around the aesthetics of little things. So this person says that it's not just babycore, so that implies to me that, oh, it's also inclusive of kidcore and other things like that. The fact that they can be any age or range of ages is also, so it does seem to be based a little bit more on the aesthetics, on the surface level of age regression, I guess, little things. So I kind of wanted a little bit more of an answer regarding just why they felt the need to differentiate themselves from age regression, because I didn't feel like I was getting enough answers. So another question this person received was, "Hi, I'm sorry if this is a bother. I promise I read your latest post on age regression and age dreaming. However, I'm a little confused on the differences. Is there another way you can describe age dreaming other than an alternative headspace? Is age dreaming a less often occurrence than age regression? I'm sorry, I just don't know the difference." To which this person, the owner of the blog, replied, "I wouldn't say it's less often. Not every age regressor would experience age dreaming, because like I said, it's not age regression. It sounds and looks similar, but age regression is a mental shift and usually involuntary, also used for coping in a deep mental headspace. If you've watched my other videos, you'll know that this is a common misconception about age regression. While it can be an involuntary mental shift used to cope with mental health issues, it doesn't have to be. So their definition of age regression in this comment is pinpointing a very specific form of age regression and ignoring the other types of age regressors, which I'm a little confused by. I don't know why. I think the term age regression is a very large, broad umbrella term that would encompass lots of different kinds of regressors. I don't see why age dreaming needs to be its own separate thing when it falls within this umbrella already. So I went digging a little bit further and noticed that they'd actually received an ask of something that I was curious about. So the ask said, "Hi, someone might have asked you this already, but can you be an age dreamer and a regressor?" And to which the owner of the blog replied, "Yes, you can be both." So I was again a bit confused by this, because they've said before that age dreaming is an alternative to age regression. So I don't know how you can be both, especially if what they're saying is age dreaming is a lifestyle aesthetics thing, because that would come with age regression. You know, I don't see how you can be both when one's meant to be an alternative to the other and they're meant to be completely separate, and almost conflicting from what this person has said on the blog. So yeah, I was a little bit confused by that, but I did do some more reading. I did read their post that they actually made on the differences of age regression and age dreaming. I won't read it out verbatim because it's really long, but it cleared up a few things for me. However, I'm still a bit in the dark, even after reading pretty much, not all of this Tumblr blog, but a good chunk of it. So, age dreaming is, I want to say, an aesthetic, voluntary lifestyle similar to how you might call certain adult baby choices lifestyles. I'm a little bit confused. Even though I wrote a script for this and I have screenshots and stuff, I'm still struggling to get my head around it, because I don't see a clear differentiation between age regression and age dreaming. I'll be completely 100% honest with you. From the research that I've done, it seems like the only way you would differentiate between age regression and age dreaming is if you misunderstood how broad an umbrella term age regression actually was, and if you saw it as simply an involuntary mental shift to cope with trauma, which is, like I said, a form of age regression. However, it's not the only form of age regression. For example, my age regression is voluntary. I do use it to cope with mental health issues, but sometimes I use it for fun. I use it for relaxation. Sometimes I just find joy in being surrounded by little things, even if I'm not in the headspace. So does that make me an age dreamer as well? I'm not too sure. I find it all a bit confusing. And I just think it adds an extra level of complication to an already quite complicated subjective subject, because it's hard to describe what age regression is, and bringing in a differentiation that is very complicated to get your head around might drive away certain members of the community. Giving such a strict definition of age regression as this person has, you also risk alienating potentially vulnerable people. So you risk saying that, oh, you're not a real age regressor because you don't do like this, which could upset a few people, especially if they're new to the community and they're looking for answers. That being said though, if you find yourself identifying with the term age dreaming more than age regression, that's completely fine. If it means something to you, that's fine. You don't need to justify that to me. Just because I don't understand it doesn't mean it's not completely valid. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, these are the rules for it, this is the differentiation, because I genuinely don't know fully. It just wouldn't be transparent of me to do that. So I wouldn't know the difference if somebody came up to me and was regressed. I wouldn't be able to tell if they were an age dreamer or an age regressor, because I see them as one and the same. I don't think age regression is a better term. I don't think age dreaming is a bad term. I think they both fall under this sort of umbrella of childlike headspaces, let's say. I see them as one and the same, like two faces of the same coin. One's not better than the other. I just can't differentiate between them. Maybe you can. Maybe age dreaming has a particular personal meaning to you. If so, please let me know, because I would love to know that. Why you identify with age dreaming over age regression, I'd also love to know that. I'll be reading all your comments as per usual. Another thing I wanted to bring up was a few members of the age regression community do get a little bit annoyed actually when people just enjoy baby stuff on a surface level, like for the aesthetics. I personally don't agree with that point of view. I think people can be free to enjoy whatever they want as long as they aren't hurting people. So if you just like baby things and they bring you comfort, go for it. If you like baby things because they help you cope or they help you relax or deal with stress, amazing, great. Don't exclude the people that don't do that though, please. Because that's not nice. So if you do prefer the term age dreaming, that's fine. This video isn't trying to say that age dreaming shouldn't exist or isn't valid, because it does exist, it's valid, it's a great thing. I applaud the person that came up with this. I just think it needs a bit more work on the definition. I think there needs to be a bit more clarity. I think there needs to be a bit more transparency. And I think there needs to be actual clear differences set instead of these generalizations. I also think the person who runs this blog would benefit from conferring with an age regressor while writing out these differences, because like I said, a lot of the generalizations about age regression aren't views that are typically held by most of the community. So if you are watching this and you do own this blog, feel free to reach out and I'll love to help you. I think what you're doing is great. I think this is an incredibly creative and self-caring and loving thing that you're doing. I just think it's getting a bit confused. I think there's a lack of clarity, and I wouldn't like to see that happen to something that you obviously care about, and it obviously is helping a lot of people. It's just hard for an outsider to understand it. That's just from my experience and from the experience of people that I've spoken to who have had experiences with age streaming. But yeah, I would highly suggest that you go over to this person's blog and do your own research into age streaming. Maybe you'll find that the more you read, actually, the more the term age streaming corresponds with your version of regression better than the term regression does. Or maybe you'll be like me and you won't really be able to see the difference between the two. It doesn't matter at the end of the day what you choose to label yourself with. That's kind of the underlying message. Yes, you can give yourself a label and it will help other like-minded people find you, and it will help you connect with like-minded people. However, please don't feel like you need to give yourself a label if you don't feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable with that label, or if you simply don't know what label to give yourself, if you're unsure, you can completely refrain from giving yourself a label, and your regression can just be a thing that you do. It can just be your thing, and you can have your own name for it. You can do whatever. So the underlying message, I guess, is you don't need to label yourself. Just be true to yourself and love the things that you love. And if you keep doing that, then life will be grand, and I think you'll be really happy. So if you are an age streamer, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to hear more about it. I'd love to make a follow-up video on this if I get more information, maybe clarify a few things, but from my understanding, this is all I could find. Be true to yourself and love the things that you love. Stay safe and have a great Halloween. I'll see you next time. Bye.